Welcome inside episode 643 of the Locked On Senators podcast. I'm Ross Levitan on the outskirts of enemy territory in Winnipeg, Manitoba, alongside Brandon Pillar up in the Blue Mountains. And last night, we got our first look at what the Ottawa Senators opening night lineup could be.
That was a fun game, and we had a fun chat with Rhys Sabolski, our SensCentral citizen of the day. He tells us how he became a Sens fan and his excitement for the upcoming season.
A very interesting origin story. You'll enjoy that. Plus, some of the fallout with the goaltending carousel now that we found out that Cam Talbot will be out for the next month. This is the Locked On Senators podcast. It's your team every day.
Locked On Senators, your daily podcast on the Ottawa Senators. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Thank you for making Locked On Senators your first listen on this Wednesday, October 5th. We are free and available on all platforms, including on YouTube, where the best way you can help the show grow is to like every video by simply clicking the thumbs up and subscribing to the Locked On Senators channel. You can find us on social below SensCentral on Twitter and lockedon.senators on Instagram. Pillsy, the puck line didn't hit, but otherwise awesome to see the top two lines and pretty much the entire roster together.
Yeah, the odds were looking nice for our BetOnline bets for the puck line, but it didn't quite turn out that way. But this was a fun game otherwise, like a back and forth effort, and we got a very good taste of what this Ottawa Senators roster will be. Really, other than swapping Sabourin out with Watson, this is probably what the lineup is going to look like, and it's like going to be a lot of fun. That's one thing we can take away from this game.
The Ottawa Senators score 5 goals. They win 5-4, not in overtime like they did on Saturday, but it was Alex DeBrincat who, like he did Saturday when he closed the scoring, he opened it not even 3 minutes into the game on a beautiful cross-ice feed from Claude Giroux. Shane Pinto gets a secondary assist on a real smart play, so awesome to see the new guys converting, and that PP1 AA also getting on the board right away. What was your overall impression there of the 5-4 victory?
The thing I kept thinking to myself, Ross, is the last couple of years, sure, the Sens as a team haven't been great, but they've had some nice players and they've had some fun moments. But it just seemed like every time they had multiple scoring opportunities, they'd squander like 4 out of 5 of them. And then they end up losing game by 1. You're like, oh, they were right there. They had those chances. This team, it feels like they're going to finish more of those chances more often than not. Like with Alex DeBrincat, the way he's able to pull the trigger on those shots. With Claude Giroux, the way he's able to find Alex DeBrincat to pull that trigger. And Shane Pinto, I got to admit that his shot is much better than I gave it credit for. Like I really looked at his defensive acumen, his ability to tip pucks in front, winning faceoffs, all those kinds of things were what I really valued about Pinto. I didn't realize his shot was that good. Like he's making himself a go-to option on a power play with Alex DeBrincat on that same power play. So absolutely incredible for number 57.
He also goes 7 for 12 in the faceoff dot, good for 58%, a goal, an assist. Frankly, it's not even close. He's been the best player on this Ottawa Senators team all preseason long, playing with Tyler Mott, who also scored.
Ahead of DeBrincat, you'd have Pinto?
I think so. He's also played more games, right?
Fair.
He got into the game in Winnipeg. He was the best player on the ice. Tonight, he was one of the best players. Even the game DeBrincat gets the winner, Pinto has 2 goals in that game as well. He's up to 7 points in 4 preseason games right now, is Shane Pinto. This guy, he's just an absolute stud in the making. So a lot of fun from that standpoint. My take, I'm still squatting on it. I know Cole Caulfield scored, but I think it's going to be that much of a battle throughout their careers. That's how good of a player Shane Pinto is. It was never to discredit a guy who had, I believe, won the Hobey Baker the week before with Cole Caulfield. The shot's elite. And he'll probably learn a bit from watching Alex DeBrincat highlights as well, because you saw it was almost a carbon copy of what DeBrincat did in the first period where Caulfield scored that in the third. But yeah, for me, Shane Pinto's been the best player through the preseason. I'm assuming you think it's Alex DeBrincat?
I just think that there could be a debate there, but I'll go with you with Pinto on here because he really has impressed. The faceoff numbers have looked much better than earlier in his NHL career too. So you got to love to see that. And while we're on face-off quickly, Ross, I'll just go through the rest of the team here because it was impressive nights.
Well, yep, I was glad you're going to start there.
Claude Giroux, 8 for 10, good for 80%. But he wasn't the top face-off guy percentage-wise, Ross. Mark Kastelik, 5 for 5, 100%. And I mean, when you're a guy like Mark Kastelik and you only get 7 minutes and 25 seconds, and you get a fight and you win 100% of your face-offs, that's not a bad night for a fourth liner. So a nice game from Casty as well.
7 minutes on the ice, 7 minutes in the penalty box as he took an extra 2 for roughing and fought Arbor Jackeye. What felt like was coming. And I don't think it was because he beat up Zachary Massicotte. I think that it was for the reason why Massicotte felt the need to stand up for Jackeye in the first place. This guy, I know last year it was incidental, the knee on knee hit against Cruikshank. We'll admit that, but the hit on Victor Lodin was just so unnecessary late and gave him a concussion. Then he went after Carson Latimer late as well. It was just, somebody's got to stand up for it. And nobody better than Mark Kastelik in that position. They just spun around a bit. It was almost like watching a cowboy ride a bull, like they're just holding on for dear life. Both of them were just spinning, and Kastelik tried to get the uppercut at one point, but to me, that's just a split decision draw. You move on from that. Jackeye didn't like it, and some of Habs Twitter going off that it was the end of a shift for Jackeye. These stats are readily available. He played 1:20, and I think Kastelik was at 1:09 on his shift. So split the hairs on the difference on that one. It's two big boys going at it, and that's kind of what the tail of the tape was. Hey, speaking of which, at the end of this game, there was another kerfuffle, not quite as, rambunctious as Kastelik versus Jackeye, but Tim Stützle and Caden Gooley got tangled up. And then as they're skating to the box, Scott Sabrin, all he did was a little pirouette, and he gets tossed from the game. That was the refs going, let's keep this together. You guys are playing twice more in a row here.
Well, even more than that, Ross. 3 times in a row
including tonight. Because it was 4 in a row, and they already played last Saturday, then tonight, then so on and so. Then the 2 games overseas, right?
Well, 3 more in a row now. It's going to be 4 in a row. I'm looking at the schedule.
Right, 2 more now, because now they're going out east.
No, but they play once more in I haven't tonight. Refreshed my schedule.
Hey,
yes,
there you go.
That's me.
So focus on this. I just said overseas, but technically, isn't Newfoundland overseas?
I mean, you are crossing a sea. Yeah, sorry, I got a little jumbled up there. But what I was going to say is it's interesting that they did that because these two teams, like, they were frustrated with each other. You could tell, like, the fight happened early, it boiled over, and then, like you mentioned, Stützle at the end there. And interesting stat, I should say, about Stützle, Ross, is every player not on the fourth line, and including Tim Stützle, had a point, and Tim Stützle no points tonight. So I thought he was a little quiet where the rest of the team seemed to be buzzing. So that's something to keep an eye on here as we move forward.
Well, I saw some whispers that the top line, which we're still calling Norris, Tkachuk, Batherson, wasn't very, they weren't putting their stamp on this game. Of course, they get the goal late. Batherson turns over an absolute we'll just call it a brain cramp for Caden Gooley. And then he's like, hey, Brady, you want a goal, man? You just go back over there. We'll get it for you. And then Brady made no mistake. And I'm sure Keith Tkachuk's taught him from a young age, we don't celebrate preseason goals. Do you see that? It was like a minute after Montreal tied it up. He goes to get the insurance, and he just like looks back at Batherson, doesn't even point at him or anything. He's like, okay, who cares, man? These don't even count.
I mean, that's about as easy a goal as Brady Tkachuk's going to score. Usually he's bumping and grinding and working hard to get those goals off rebounds and stuff. So that's an easy one for sure. But yeah, I kind of agree, Ross. That line was a little flat for most of the night, I thought. But Brady Tkachuk, he gets that goal and he had 7 hits. So again, there's more that he does than just put up points, and you love Brady for that. Like he definitely threw the body around when things were starting to get out of hand.
Brady Tkachuk, as you said, 7 hits in this game, and he also was able to find his way onto the score sheet. He played in about 17 minutes plus 15 seconds. Other than that, some notable stat lines. You mentioned DeBrincat scoring that goal. Well, he returned the favor to Claude Giroux in the second period on a great middle net drive by Jake Sanderson. And my quick SensCentral standout is Travis Hamonic, because he was so unspectacular that he was spectacular. I was so worried. And again, it's looking at individual performances and trying to project them into the regular season. There were definitely guys who had better single game performances. The guy who was left it, but it's just the calm that I have watching those two out there on the ice together. So I want to give some stick taps to Travis Hamonic. We saw them when they were doing their feature on Jake Sanderson, rightfully so. They pan over to the bench and there's Hamonic going over the paces with him. So that pickup is looking more and more like it could be beneficial. And considering all the flack it had when it happened, I think I'm pretty happy to see that. So I'm understanding that I'm doing this for a bit of a different reason than I usually would. But Travis Hamonic playing almost 20 minutes tonight, if he can play like he did tonight every game this season, the Sens decor automatically looks a little bit better.
Yeah, you hope he can keep this kind of consistency, especially with a rookie and Jake Sanderson. So that's not where I thought you were going, Ross, but I respect it. A little love for the Hammer. That's nice.
Can I actually just make it the whole pair? Because obviously Jake Sanderson stood out in this game as well. Those little plays he makes are so damn impressive when you like zoom in and watch like a little. There was one where the forechecker is coming at him and he just goes like fakes his body one way and just skates out the other. Like he makes the game look so easy. So those two guys, to me, awesome to see them gain some chemistry.
Yeah, I would say this is the best showing Sanderson has had so far. I think this was his best game for me, at least. My SensCentral standout is going to be Claude Giroux. I mean, a goal and an assist, 80% from the face-off dot, just over 15 minutes. Like, I think he's a guy that's going to be so efficient every time he's out there. And like we mentioned, seeing the Ottawa Senators win the face-off battle most of these preseason nights, the common denominator is Claude Giroux coming to this team and helping these young guys learn how to have experience and tricks of the trade. So Claude Giroux is just such a fantastic player and the perfect veteran to be slotted into this lineup, and another incredible game for him.
So impressive, man. Every time they pan to him, I'm just like, wow, this guy really plays for the Ottawa Senators.
Awesome.
It's so great to see. And then when you add in the third wave of depth, Mathieu Joseph, 2 assists. Really liked his first apple where he took a hit to get the puck up to the point. That was on the Mott goal, where it was just a wrist shot from the point, but Joseph created the space for Mott by taking contact, turning his body, and that whole shift, the ozone pressure, was awesome. And then they pretty much carried the play. The second period was all Ottawa. Like I wrote in my notes here, dominant first 5 minutes. Brady had that reverse hit on Slavkovsky. Then he hunted Pizzetta on a stop-up play at the end of that shift. They were just humming before they made it 2-0. Yeah, they give up the 2 goals in 44 seconds. But then that shift really put the game back in favor of Ottawa by the Pinto line. And if they can be a momentum-gaining line throughout the season again, you're just adding these different ways that you can attack. And Pilsy, we talked how often of the addition by subtraction potential. And I want to hit on a word you said, efficient, with Claude Giroux. They're adding efficient players. Tyler Mott, Mathieu Joseph, they're efficient hockey players. Shane Pinto, and we're learning Travis Hamonic can be that too. And it's so important to notice how calm everything was tonight. And I know it's preseason. They're playing against a bunch of minor leaguers, but 22 wasn't in the lineup.
Yeah, that definitely helped. And that's the thing, Ross. Like, at no point did I think this game was getting away from them. Like, I doubled down my bets at betonline.net during this game because I still felt confident. And again, when the Sens had their grade A chances, they finished them. That's what you love to see.
Absolutely. So the Ottawa Senators win 5-4, and like we mentioned, take it with a grain of salt. Montreal played last night, then tonight, and I believe cuts are coming before they head out east to play Ottawa. So these 2 games to finish off the preseason that are coming up on Thursday and Saturday. Note the start times, by the way, wherever you are, because you get an extra hour in the Atlantic, and then you got to add another half hour to that they go out to Newfoundland, which I believe is first. Yeah, you and I get wrapped up in 1 hour. Can't believe how difficult that's going to be for us. But it's all going to be worth it when the Ottawa Senators open up their season on Thursday, October 13th, against the Buffalo Sabres. We'll have your post-game coverage right here exclusively on our YouTube channel immediately after the game. And that audio, the first 15 minutes or so, will be posted in your audio podcast platform. So if you have to go to bed, don't want to miss it, head to your audio platforms in the morning, and you can catch us on your way to work before Locked On Sens comes out in the afternoon. Pilsy, we'll explain when we do our first postcast how we're going to make things interactive still while tightening up that initial part. But Alex DeBrincat, 38.5 goals. That's what it's set at betonline.net. Are you heading over to the website today?
Ross, I've already done that because at betonline.net, they have so many different things that you can bet on. It's the trusted online sportsbook of the Locked On Podcast Network. And yeah, get in on your futures before the regular season starts, guys. It's fast approaching, like Ross mentioned. October 13th is your last day to do that for the Sens. So, or I guess, actually, the futures will probably be done earlier than that because the season starts very soon.
The 7th.
Yeah, so run to betonline.net because they have the best spot for all your sports scores, podcasts, and news this season. They have all the latest odds, totals, player for performance props, and future bets that you can make. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to learn more about the trends and the action. Guys, it's betonline.net where the game starts.
All right, Pilsy, still to come, we're going to get into our SensCentral Citizen, and we're going to touch on the goaltending situation right now with Ottawa picking up Magnus Hellberg. But we also want to tell you about our newest sponsor. This one is honestly a dream sponsor for me. As an Ottawa guy who went to Lisgar, I took the number 7 bus every day from my place in Manor Park all the way downtown to Rideau Center, and then I'd walk there. But you know what I saw every day when the bus turned on to Rideau Street? It was the sign for Shawarma Palace. Literally the only place to go for shawarma. Shawarma Palace is your home. 6, 7 different locations all throughout the city. Now it's 9, actually. This is how quick they're growing. I leave Ottawa for a few years. 9 locations. They've got one in Carleton University Food Court. How lucky are those kids, Pilsy? I'm thinking back to when we went to school together, and I would tell you that Ottawa is the shawarma capital of the world. And there's only one place to go for your shawarma, and that's Shawarma Palace. It's a great way to start a day because it's got protein. It's got all the vegetables you need in there. The pickled turnip, always get extra pickled turnip as well, and get the garlic potatoes. All of that is available at Shawarma Palace, but it's also a great way to end the night if you've been out in the Byward Market or in Centertown. They've got their location on Bank Street. You are never too far away from a Shawarma Palace. But if you wake up, you're not in the mood to go, Pilsy, guess what? Shawarma Palace is available on all your favorite delivery services anywhere you can find Shawarma Palace. I always go with the chicken shawarma wrap. I get extra garlic, extra pickled turnip, but I will say sometimes here's a little cheat code from our friends at Shawarma Palace. You have to get the platter knowing that it's 2 meals. You're like, all right, I'm committing to shawarma in the next 48 hours. I'm going to have some now, and they're so nice there. They give you like a full bag of pita. You're like, okay, here we go. Throw it in there. So that's a little cheat there if you want it. There's not a bad thing on the menu. Get the baklava. Great way to end off. And we appreciate Shawarma Palace for making them the number 1 local sponsor of Locked On Senators. We are going to be so thankful to them forever. So next time you pop into Shawarma Palace at any of their 9 locations, make sure you tell them that Locked On Senators sent you. We are so happy to share our love for Shawarma Palace with you, our listeners, our viewers. Next time you go, drop us a line as well. We already had a great note. I need to pull up this note. You know where I'm going with this, Pilsy. We retweeted it today. It was a gentleman who told us he just moved to Ottawa. David Elliott said he moved to Ottawa this month. He was searching for a new shawarma place, and he went to the Palace, and he can guarantee he will be back. So head to Shawarma Palace and let them know that Locked On Senators sent you. All right, Pilsy. Well, now I'm hungry. Thank you to our friends at Shawarma Palace. It's not going to be long, man. We're going to be in Ottawa for the home opener. That's coming up in about 10 days is when my flight is. And in 10 and a half days, I will be eating Shawarma Palace. There's no question about that.
I'll be right there with you. Extra garlic sauce. Yes, please.
When we were talking to Rhys, he mentioned how much he loves Shawarma Palace. So let's get to our SensCentral Citizen. Here's Rhys Sabolski. All right, we now welcome on this week's SensCentral Citizen. It's Rhys Sabolski. You can go follow him on Twitter at SabolskiRhys. And in his bio, he says he swears he's nicer in person. We're going to put that to the test. Welcome to Locked On Senators. How are you doing today, Rhys?
Doing great. Happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Oh, we're really happy to have you. It's been a long time coming. We've been interacting with you on Twitter for years now, it feels like. So I need to rewind the clock, man. How did you initially become an Ottawa Senators fan? And to lead into that, are you in Ottawa right now?
No, I'm out in Brighton. It's like 3 hours out of Ottawa, super small town. Yeah, my grandma moved over from India, and
wow.
she settled in Ottawa, teaching at university. I guess she fell in love with hockey, and since then it's been a family thing. My mom is a big sports person, but she'll still throw on the Sens gear. And then when I was raised as a Sens fan.
You had to be, because that's close, Pilsy? We know where Brighton is, near Belleville. So you're in enemy territory there. I feel like there's a lot of blue and white walking around the streets.
So much, man. It's awful to see.
Yeah, that's for sure. So Rhys, did anyone in your family play hockey, yourself included, or were you guys just in love with the game watching and have stuck to it since?
No hockey players, not even me. No, just avid fans.
That's awesome. So with your grandmother, what year would she have come to Canada?
Oh, 70s, I think.
Okay, so she was here when the Sens got the team.
Oh yeah.
What has she told you from those early years?
Not much. My grandma's a quiet person, but I just remember it's a good way to meet new people and make friends, I guess. So she was secluded in her early years there, I think, here, and good way to open it up. And her friends were big hockey players, big hockey people. So she just got into it that way.
I love it. That's such a unique story. Now, for you obviously live a few hours away. Have you been able to get to the CTC at all?
Yeah, my grandma's getting up there now. I think she's in her 83rd year. But when we were both younger, she used to bring me up for games, and once or twice a year. That was my birthday present, Christmas present every year.
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, I think it was 2017 or 2015 when I got my first playoff game.
Oh, which game did you go to?
I remember, I think it was, I forget what year, but Montreal versus Ottawa.
Yeah,
Pajot
2015. Oh, so 2013.
You were there for the Pajot game?
Dude, that's one of the best games in franchise history with the line brawl too.
Yeah, that was the moment. That was the game I fell in love with hockey. Like just watching, and it was funny. I didn't have my glasses yet, and my eyes were just getting bad, so I couldn't see the puck. But Pajot, just the Pajot chants going around me. Nothing like it.
You probably had that chant ringing in your ears, trying to fall asleep. You're like Pajot. Oh, man.
Yeah, just knocking around in here.
Yeah. That's what a game to go to. That's awesome. Now, since you're so close to Belleville, do you get out to many games at the glorious CAA Arena?
Yeah, we go to a few. I was there for the inaugural game too.
Heck yeah!
Oh, awesome.
Yep.
So how much has that, were you there for the Belleville Bull days as well? Like, did you get to see kind of the transformation, or you weren't really into the Bulls at that point?
I went to a couple Bulls game. I wasn't into it very much, but my friend at the time was very into the Bulls. He got me a signed hat.
Heck
I think
yeah, look at that.
On here. Yep.
Okay.
They had some good players on that team over the years.
Yeah, so I wasn't a big Bulls guy, but I made my occasional appearances at the stadium.
Cool.
I still can't believe his first game, or one of, if not the first, was maybe the greatest game in Sens history. Like that almost feels like you're setting the bar too high. It's
Right?
like what if you're going to like a 3-1 loss against Buffalo in February afterwards? You're like, wow, what? This is the same sport?
Right? Especially as a 13-year-old too, or however old I was then, right? Like I showed up and I was like, this is what it's all about. And I'm sure my next game I was like, it was okay.
Oh my God, that's so good though. So who are your first favorite players? I have a feeling Pajot's got to be high up on that list.
Pajot for sure. I had a weird love for Clark MacArthur.
Nothing wrong, nothing weird about that. I got his jersey in my closet.
Yeah, he's awesome.
No reason for that. But then my first ever favorite player was Carlson. Easy.
Yeah.
Yep.
What was your immediate reaction when the trade went down after years of speculation?
Disappointment, but I didn't get too up into it. I really got into like the whole in between, like in-depth part of the Senators in like 2017 after the Cup run. So obviously super disappointed, but I mean it's worked out well. So
yeah, there's no complaining there. Now, do you have any Sens jerseys? Who you rocking these days?
Yeah, I got a Carlson 3D, nice. And then I got a Spezza O and a Silverberg O.
A Silverberg. You and me might be the only two guys who have Silverberg jerseys in Sens fandom. That's awesome. How long before the trade did you get yours?
Oh, that was a yard sale pickup. That one.
Oh, afterwards? Okay, so I got mine during the playoffs the year before. So
Yeah,
I had
that's a
mine
real
for a
fan.
good 10 months before it got aged out. That's tough.
Nuts.
Damn.
Great
So-
yard sale pickup, though.
Oh yeah, I was stoked.
So what's your next jersey going to be, and what color? I like knowing the color and the name combo.
Stützle black.
Nice,
So
Yep.
sharp.
right here.
Yep.
Yeah,
Just
nice
like that.
point,
Just like in the
Pillsy.
corner.
Nice
I know, I got
point.
that one. I got the point this time. Yes.
Beautiful.
That's awesome. So expectations obviously a little bit higher going into this season after some off-season fireworks. Where are you at? Are you on team this is a playoff squad, or are you on team let's wait and see, maybe some passive optimism?
I'm mostly on team let's wait and see. It can be a playoff squad. Like there's no doubt about it. If everybody plays up to their potential, it's a playoff team. But you never know, right? Like things happen. People get hurt. People aren't signed. Like a Formy. Like you never know what's going to happen. I think we have the talent to do it though, easily.
So with Alex Formenton not being signed, Tyler Mott has kind of been his replacement. How do you feel about Mott? Personally, I think I'm ready to label Mott as my guy for this season. Like I love the way he plays. I think he's going to fit into a third line role nicely, and he brings a little bit of that style that left the Senators with Nick Paul and Connor Brown being traded.
So Rhys, you and I have to come up here with some sort of bet where if Tyler Mott accomplishes X, Pillsy has to get a Tyler Mott jersey.
Oh,
Okay.
I'm okay.
Oh, I think I got it. I was just talking about Mott with my friends there, some Sens Twitter guys. I love him. He's a perfect replacement. Like I've almost forgotten about Formenton while the game's going on because Mott fills it perfectly. The one thing that I can't understand is how he's only gotten 16 points. So Ross, if you're looking for a benchmark, I'm gonna put 35 points.
Whoa! 35?
He's next to Pinto and Joseph. I think he can do it.
Yeah.
That would be what's his career high?
16.
16 is the career high.
Yeah.
Wow. Oh, okay. We got some optimism. I love it.
But I also think that's fair because it shouldn't be too easy, especially
Yeah.
when the guy's on a 1-year deal. Pillsy might be ending up with a jersey of like one of those obscure Senators that you talk about, which is always great to have.
Yeah.
And
however, and he's finally graduated. He's only ever worn number 64 everywhere he's gone. Now he's got that low digit number. He's feeling good.
Much better.
35 points, Pillsy. Are you in on that?
Oh, yeah. Hell yeah. Let's do it.
All right. And if he's under 35 points, I'll get a Tyler Mott jersey. Deal?
There we go. Either way, Tyler Mott's getting represented.
There you
go. Absolutely. Speaking of representation, Pillsy and I just had our fantasy draft the other night. He took Anton Forsberg. I took Cam Talbot. Which one of those tendies is going to play the bigger role throughout this season in your mind?
Let's go Forsberg there. Talbot's got the repertoire, but Forsberg has earned the trust of this team. The way he came in last year with Murray faltering, he showed up, did his part, played hard. I want him to succeed so bad.
Me too. I love that they locked him up when they did. That could look like a steal over the next 3 years. 2.75 per year. It's insane. Yeah. Pillsy, what do you got?
So we're not going to get too in depth about the lines, but I mean the lines are pretty much set already. So in your opinion, what is the bona fide top line? Is it the top line of last year, Tkachuk, Norris, Batherson, or is it the new top line of DeBrincat, Stützle, Giroux? Which are you claiming is the number one?
For your answer, I'm gonna go with Brady, Norris, Batherson.
Ooh.
I think Stützle, Giroux, DeBrincat will get more points. But if you're going to send a line out there at the end of the game, I think it's going to be Brady, Norris, Batherson.
And then have who's your extra attacker on that? Who are you throwing out of those next guys when the goalie's pulled? Who's jumping over the boards?
Ooh, this is a question we haven't really got into. I like it.
That's tough. It's either Cat or Stützle.
Yeah.
I think you send Cat out there if it's the end of the game. I think you got to put Cat out there.
But also, I mean, Giroux's got the experience and the competitiveness that he's just going to jam pucks at the top of the crease. If it's put pucks on net time at the end of the game, like he's the guy I want jamming in out of those three next guys up.
If you have an offensive face-off, he's on the ice.
Right? That's what I was saying. If you're getting the goalie off on the fly, not Giroux. But if you're getting him off after an icing or a face-off, probably put Giroux in there.
Because
Yeah,
then you
I
have
got you
lefty Norris if the faceoff's in the left circle, and then Giroux comes in on the right circle as well. I like that as well. But man, good problems to have, eh, Rhys?
Perfect. Way better than last year, eh?
Yeah, a little bit different than throwing Adam Gaudette out there with a minute and a half
Right?
left, saying, "Hey, go finish the job, pal."
We went from debating Brown and good Branson our D line to should we put Cat or Giroux out there? What a world!
However, Adam Gaudette, by association, gave us one of the best reaction photos of last season. Pills, you know where I'm going with this? This guy right here. All time after the shootout winner. After the shootout winner in Vancouver, this guy is just living. And low-key, the best part of this photo is how about the guy wearing a 3D Sens hat with flames coming out behind it?
That's sick.
That's probably a yard sale find, Rhys.
Yes.
Yep.
Rhys, you need to be rocking that with your Silverberg jersey on.
If I can find it, it's going on my head.
That's so good. What an absolute find that was. Who is your favorite obscure Senator from this rebuild, Rhys? There a guy from Brian Gibbons to Oscar Lindbergh to everyone in between. Who's the guy from this rebuild who you will never forget?
Oh, that's a really tough one.
I'll throw out a few more names. Like for me, Marion Gabrick's up on that list. Johnny Oduya was right at the start of it. We're like, why do we get this guy? Last year there was a few.
Wait, don't take all the names. Don't take all the names.
I'm just giving them to guys to choose from.
Okay.
I like Galchenyuk. I think that was a good one. And his legend here is increased by the fact that the Leafs went and recovered him and made him a star again.
Yeah, rebuilt him.
Yeah.
Hey, that one power play goal he had was absolutely epic. I'm with you, Rhys. Galchenyuk was one. Like, sure, we're Sens fans. We got to laugh at the Habs trying to make it work, and it obviously didn't work. Like many other players there, but I really thought in like a lower role and with lower expectations, he's someone that could really shine on a second power play unit. Didn't exactly work out enough, but it was exciting. It was a low risk, low reward type situation.
And you know what? He's not as obscure, but he will be eventually. We only had him for 1 year. I think Dadonov. Like, I loved him.
Oh, that's my guy.
That 5-1 comeback against the Leafs, right? He'll go down in Sens history, but he was only here for a short time.
That's actually a phenomenal call, Rhys. I like that a lot.
Yep.
Meanwhile, Alex Galchenyuk's low reward was 1 goal in 8 games, -6, averaging 9 minutes a game.
Oh, yeah. The complete defensive liability.
Oh, yeah. Dude, him and Hoffman potentially playing on the same line together in Montreal. Oh, my God. Just, hey, PSA to the Tendies. Be ready when those two, Montreal Tendies, be ready. Those guys are out on the ice. Oh, my God. What an absolute time. Pilsy, I know you got your classic DJ Smith question for him.
Yeah. I'll hit you with this one as the last one. DJ Smith, I think, perfect coach for rebuilding. Knows how to keep the guys competitive, keeps things light, but, keeps them accountable as well. But that stage is over. Now it's looking like if you're going to be pushing for the playoffs, you want a more experienced coach, a guy that does the X's and O's a little better. What's your confidence level on DJ Smith moving forward here as this team hopefully is playing in much more meaningful games down the stretch?
Yeah, you nailed it there. Definitely good for a rebuilding team. Yeah. I'll give him like a 7 out of 10 for my confidence in him. Like, I want to see him succeed, and I'm going to give him space to prove it. Yeah. But I don't have much faith in his systems, and it'll show this year, like whether he's right for the job or not. He's got all the tools. But
I love that. Hey, I'll give him the space. He needs space right now. We'll let him do his thing, but we're watching you from afar, eh? When do you get nervous? Like, are you giving him 41 games?
No, I'm giving him 30.
Okay. So right after that American Thanksgiving.
Yeah, a little over like a quarter of the season.
It's going to be one of the most intriguing storylines. What other storyline? My final question for you, Rhys. What is the storyline that keeps you up at night where you're just like really curious of how it plays out?
It's weird. It's not so much the season, but it's the Cat contract. We put him in a weird position too with all of our stars making $8 million or basically $8 million and under. Yep. So he obviously deserves more, at least coming in. He looks like he deserves more. But I'll be interested to see if he wants to stay with the team, goes for, $9 million, which is qualifying offer, or if he's going to push for what he could deserve in like 10.5 million.
Interesting.
That will be interesting to follow along. Oh.
And we will do that right here on Locked On Senators. Make sure you're going and following Rhys on Twitter at Sabolski. Rhys, the spelling you can find right here on the YouTube channel where you're already subscribed. Rhys, we appreciate this. This has been a lot of fun, man. We'll do it again down the road.
That sounds great. No, I love being on chatting with you guys.
Stick taps to Rhys for joining us. Really fun conversation with him. And you can go follow him on Twitter at Sabolski Rhys. All right, Pilsy, the Ottawa Senators made a pair of moves Monday, and we discussed that exclusively on YouTube. So if you just follow along in the audio podcast platform, you might not know that Magnus Hellberg is an Ottawa Senator. I went to his Instagram, and guess who the first player I saw on there with that he was going out for beers with?
Waddy.
No, I put it in the group chat.
David Rundblad.
David Rundblad. So magic number 7. No, but it will be fun to see Magnus Hellberg here. The numbers overseas are pretty unreal.
Yeah, his KHL numbers were pristine. So if he only needs to get in for a handful of games, I feel pretty confident that as a waiver wire pickup, you're getting good value there.
DJ Smith said that he will meet the Senators in Ottawa tomorrow and fly out east with them. But you got to think they're bringing 3 goalies. Will Sogard, who backed up today, was recalled after they were all sent down. Remember, they kept Bebo because they wanted to make sure that they were all getting some action in training camp. But now it looks like he's going to have to go over out east as well. So what do you make of the goaltending situation now before the regular season begins?
It's going to be interesting. I think for sure they should try to get Hellberg in a game here. I typically think the best way to do it is to have your starting goalie play the final preseason game, give him one last chance to fully get his legs under him and get into the groove. So if Hellberg can get the other remaining game, I think that's probably the way to go here.
And we will also say Anton Forsberg, despite 4 goals allowed on 25 shots tonight, I thought he was pretty good. Like, obviously that one was tipped by Mathieu Joseph. That was pretty unfortunate.
Nothing you can do there.
On the Jack Eye goal. So what are you going to do? Caulfield's goal, don't blame him for that. The David Savard one, it's a middle lane drive. It's not the end of the world, but basically for 4 goals against, it could have been worse. The Armia one you probably want back, though, that wrister from the high slot.
Yeah, I think that's the one you could probably get. Yeah, the Savard one, it wasn't an amazing goal, but I think Savard caught everyone off guard with him being the guy that's floating in there. Like, he never does that, at least from what I've seen from him. He's much more of a defensive guy, so that's a tough read there.
Well, he scored 3 goals all of last season, and he gets one.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
He gets one tonight. But more impressively, Tyler Mott gets his 3rd of the preseason. Shane Pinto gets his 4th of the preseason. And the Ottawa Senators, with their full roster, get a win, 5-4 in Montreal against a team they will face 2 more times. Right, Pilsy?
Yeah, I'm back on track now. Yes, 2 more times.
Any final thoughts before we go? Thursday's show, we'll get more into what will be a pretty complete roster again out east in Newfoundland first, and I think we're going to get into some player projections in that in this episode as well.
Yeah, I guess just final thoughts is I'll reiterate, like, Sens fans, it's been a tough couple of years, but it finally seems like we're rounding the bend here and we're seeing the light on the other side, because this team now, it's going to be so much fun to watch, but also with implications in meaningful games. It's not just like, oh, wow, that was great. Now we're going from the 10th best lottery odds to the 9th best lottery odds, and you're all confused. Like, wait, did we want to win that? I want this team to win. Do I want them? No, none of that. We're going to have fun watching them try to win every game, and the W's are going to be important.
Absolutely fantastic. And we're just seeing across the board, Carson Latimer will wear an A with Prince Albert Raiders. That's my final thought. We'll be back on Thursday with more. In the meantime, you can follow us on social media at SensCentral on Twitter and LockedOn.Senators on Instagram. Thank you once again to our friends at Shawarma Palace for jumping on board. We're excited to work with them over the next number of months, if not years. And to our friends at BetOnline, where preseason odds are still available. But for today, we say goodbye. Thanks to Rhys Sabolski as our SensCentral citizen. For Brandon Pillar, I'm Ross Levitan. This has been the Locked On Senators podcast. It's your team every day.